Today we're going to dive into the story of Antropolis. Now, on the surface, sure, it's about an ant colony. But if you look just a little bit closer, you'll see it's this incredibly powerful allegory for some of our own biggest economic challenges. Things like interest, wealth, and, the deep cracks of inequality that can literally split a society right in two.
Wow, this quote just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? In a society that's supposedly built on the idea of hard work, a whole new kind of power popped up, one that didn't require any labor at all. Just capital. And that single shift is what sets the stage for a silent but absolutely devastating conflict. So, how did it all start? Where did this war even come from? Well, the roots go way back, to a time of rebuilding, a time of hope, actually, when one single, seemingly innocent rule was introduced that would end up changing everything. Okay, so picture this. Antropolis is on the mend after a huge crisis. The mood is optimistic, right? Tunnels are being dug again, markets are buzzing, and the engine driving all of this recovery is lending. But here's the catch. That lending is now controlled by a wealthy few who made it through the last storm, and they're about to introduce a brand new rule to the game. And at first, the idea seemed totally logical. Interest. It's just a small fee, right? To cover the lender's risk. For the worker ants trying to get a fresh start, it felt like a fair price to pay. It was the cost of opportunity. But you know how these things go. This simple, seemingly fair system, well, it had consequences that nobody saw coming. A quiet divide started to form, a crack in the very foundation of their society that would soon split their world completely in half. And you can just see the two worlds forming right here. On one side, you've got the lenders, living in these bright, clean chambers, their wealth just growing all on its own. And on the other side, the workers. They're facing crowded burrows and a life of relentless work, where somehow their debts grow even faster than their efforts. The system wasn't just creating wealth. It was creating two entirely different realities. I work from sunrise to sunset, yet every leaf I earn goes back to the bank. Man, you can just feel the exhaustion in that, can't you? It's that horrible feeling of being on a treadmill. No matter how hard you work, you're not moving forward. Your labor isn't building your own future anymore. It's just servicing a debt that never ever seems to shrink. And then you get this, the other side of the coin. It's not necessarily malicious, but it shows a complete and total disconnect. To the lender, this is just the way things are. You work, we manage. There's a chilling simplicity to that worldview, isn't there? And this right here, this brings us to the absolute core of the problem. When money itself starts making more money than actual physical work, the whole motivation to contribute, to build, to labor, it just starts to fall apart. Why would you work your mandibles to the bone if just waiting around is more profitable? Well, a society just can't sustain that kind of imbalance for long. Those quiet whispers in the crowded burrows, they were about to become a roar that would shake Antropolis to its very foundations. Meanwhile, at the top, the leadership, the queen, they're just seeing a booming economy. They see new construction, bustling markets, and they believe this is a huge success. From the queen's perspective, opportunity is available to everyone, and so the system must be fair. Hey, if you can take out a loan, you've got a shot, right? And that forces us to ask a really critical question. Is giving everyone the same opportunity really the same thing as being fair? Especially when everyone is starting from wildly different places? This metaphor just completely cuts through the queen's logic. Yeah, okay, technically everyone is on the same hill, trying to climb toward prosperity, but the starting line is totally rigged. For that worker ant who's already deep in debt, the climb is almost impossibly steep. So the result was pretty much inevitable. The social contract shattered. It started with ants refusing to pay their debts, forming secret unions. Then came the graffiti, the public dissent, and finally, open violence. The colony wasn't just divided anymore. It was at war with itself. It got so bad that the very symbols of their wealth, the banks, had to be guarded by soldiers. All this chaos, it forces a moment of reckoning, a moment of truth. The queen, terrified by what's happening, finally has to confront the reality that her idea of success was dangerously flawed. And you can tell the queen is genuinely confused. From her point of view, she provided all the right things: opportunity, freedom, choice. She just can't wrap her head around how a system designed for growth led to so much anger and division. And then Alex delivers this devastatingly simple answer. Loans gave them capital, sure, but they didn't give them a way up. The system was designed to create concentrated wealth for a few, not a stable, balanced society for everyone. That right there, that's the epiphany.
And this is the lesson they all learned the hard way. That booming economy, the new tunnels, the busy markets, it was all just a mask. It looked like progress, but underneath, the social fabric of the colony was just rotting away. They realized that real, sustainable success has to have balance and fairness, not just growth at any cost.
So, having finally understood the real cause of the war, Antropolis doesn't just crush the riots and move on. No, it fundamentally rebuilds its entire economic system on a new and much more ethical foundation.
So these are the pillars of their new order. And just notice the huge shift here. Interest is no longer just a fee you pay. Now it's tied directly to productive work. The lender and the borrower, they become partners. Their fates are linked. If a project succeeds, they both do well. If it fails, they share that loss.
The results weren't immediate, but they were profound. The economic system actually started to heal the social divides that it had created. Those labels of borrower and lender started to fade away, and the identity of neighbor started to come back. Cooperation began to replace conflict.
This final thought really reframes the whole debate, doesn't it? True fairness isn't just about handing everyone the same ladder. It's about making sure the ground itself is stable, creating a system that doesn't actively pull people down while they're trying to climb up.
And so the story of Antropolis leaves us with this final, powerful warning. When a society chases growth but completely forgets about justice, that prosperity, it becomes a kind of prison. It teaches us that a truly healthy economy isn't just about how much wealth you can build. It's about the well-being and the balance of the entire colony.